Before the sun rose, everything changed. While most of the world was asleep, Ukraine reached far beyond expectation and struck at the heart of Russia's drone war, shattering the machinery that powered Moscow's nightly attacks and forcing an entire strategy to stumble. In the early hours of January 15th, Ukraine executed a carefully planned precision strike deep inside Russian territory. The target wasn't on the front lines. It was the industrial backbone of Russia's relentless UAV campaign, located in the Alabuga industrial zone, over 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine's border. In minutes, assembly halls were breached, control networks were crippled, and hundreds of drones were wiped out, stopping production almost instantly. The impact was impossible to hide. Drone launches dropped, saturation attacks slowed, and Russian units dependent on these UAVs were suddenly forced to improvise. Just days earlier, Ukraine had endured the most punishing missile assault of the year. Hundreds of missiles and drones struck energy grids, command centers, and major cities. Kyiv itself came under direct attack, with sections of the capital disconnected from the grid to prevent a total collapse. Russia even openly acknowledged using its Orishnik hypersonic missile, a weapon moving at an estimated 13,000 kilometers per hour, erasing Ukraine's warning tones. From Moscow's viewpoint, the pressure seemed to be working. Ukraine looked cornered, reduced to endurance. Yet, in the darkness Russia created, Ukraine shifted its focus from surviving the next strike to eliminating the source of them altogether, as Russia intensified the squeeze, hitting drone factories in Kyiv and the energy infrastructure that powered them. Ukraine did something unexpected. It stopped just reacting. Intelligence assets were pulled from the front and redirected deep into Russia's rear. They found one UAV complex operating at over 120% capacity, producing nearly 50 drones every night. These drones were cheap, but they enabled attacks that darkened cities and drained air defenses. Ukrainian analysts saw the equation clearly. As long as that factory stood, Russia could afford to keep pressing. The war was no longer about intercepting every strike. It was about silencing the place they came from. Once the decision was made, time was critical. Russia assumed its rear was safe, and that assumption led to complacency. At the UAV factory, night defenses were reduced. Monitoring became lax, and low, slow objects were often dismissed as background noise. Ukrainian intelligence observed this for over 1,500 hours, identifying a recurring 15 to 25-second window during shift changes when the sky wasn't blind, just careless. They didn't see a fortress. They saw a guard repeatedly looking the wrong way. The plan was a narrow, high-risk strike. 30 attack drones, each with a 14-kilogram warhead, would fly a route rehearsed over 300 times. There was no margin for error. Just before dawn, Ukraine launched first. 10 decoy drones climbed rapidly, broadcasting huge radar signatures. Russian defenses reacted instantly, firing interceptors that destroyed the decoys in brilliant fireballs. It looked like a perfect defense, but that illusion lasted less than a minute. While radars were locked high, the real strike force slipped in below, masked by the terrain. But then, a sudden gust of wind hit the formation. Two drones collided. The window was closing. Russian operators spotted the low-flying drones and launched interceptors. In response, Ukraine deployed electronic decoys, not flares, but false signals that tricked the missiles into detonating harmlessly. The sky flashed, but the drones pushed on. The remaining strike force split into three groups. The first hit the main assembly hall, collapsing the roof and burying over 90 drones. The second struck the components warehouse, where secondary explosions consumed weeks of inventory. The final drones targeted the control and data center, wiping out servers and production databases in an instant. When the explosions ended, the factory as an industrial site ceased to exist. The effects were immediate. Russian UAV activity dropped sharply. Nightly routines collapsed into uncertainty. Analysts estimated that over 60% of projected UAV output for the next 2 months was gone. Russia had spent weeks plunging Ukraine into darkness. Ukraine responded not with volume, but with logic. This story isn't just about drones or a single factory. It's about how modern wars are decided. Russia bet on exhaustion through mass. Ukraine answered by targeting the mechanism that enabled it. This strike didn't end the war, but it reshaped its next chapter, proving that when power meets precision, understanding always outlasts force.